One of the things that I find most exciting about gardening nowadays is that there is a new generation coming through. And we went to Sheffield to meet Danny Gallacher.
The two things that govern my life, I think, are skateboarding and gardening. They both teach you a sense of patience and perseverance as well. So you have to keep trying things over and over again to get it right. Skateboarding is a form of meditation. You know, you can't think about anything else while you're doing it because your focus is there, otherwise you're going to get hurt. And gardening is another form of meditation, but a much more chilled out and relaxed one. You know, I can let my mind wander when I'm in the garden. My name is Danielle Gallacher, and we are in the middle of Sheffield at my 5-year-old forest garden. In a forest, you don't have people going in with watering cans or fertilisers, and it just takes care of itself. So that is what I'm trying to emulate. When I arrived on the site, there was already quite a lot of trees. Nice orchards already planted, so there was a couple of pear trees, some plum trees, some cherry trees. So rather than cutting these trees down, I come up with a design to just work around them. I came into gardening as a forager, so I've been foraging for 15, 20 years, and it was that really brought me close to nature. So it's observing all of the different plants and the fungi that are all throughout the seasons and watching how they all interconnect within the forest system, and I think that's what really sparked my love for growing. I don't dig in my garden. I use mulch and I use organic matter on top of the soil to create a protective layer. Not only does that help to trap in moisture and relieve the soil from some of the elements like sun and wind, but it also helps to add nutrients to the soil itself. And I do have a wood chipper myself, so I do make some of my own wood chip. I also actively encourage mycelium. And by inoculating the wood chip with certain mushroom substrates, I can then grow specific mushrooms and add an extra edible layer to my forest garden. So mycelium is made of tiny little thread-like hyphae, and these fuse together to hold together your soil, and it just creates a really strong soil structure. In a traditional forest, you have layers, and in a forest garden, you try to emulate a natural young woodland with edible species. So I have an upper canopy, which is my elderberries, and I can use this for not only shade, but it also helps to provide food for the birds, and I use it for my own tinctures and for wines and champagnes. Then I have my lower canopy, which is made up of my fruit trees and my bay trees. The shrub layer is another really important feature of the forest garden. So I have currants, raspberries and gooseberries as well. So the next layer after the shrub layer is my herbaceous layer. And for this layer, I use a mix of edible, ornamental and perennial plants like these dahlias, these courgettes. And I also let climbers ramble through the bushes, and this acts as my climbing and vine layer. And here I've got blackberries that climb through. This is my herb spiral, and a herb spiral is a raised garden bed that utilises the elements and creates microclimates, so you can plant a wider variety of plants in the same space. It has different layers, so at the top of the spiral is where you traditionally grow your Mediterranean type herbs, so things like your lavender, your rosemary, things that love the sun. And as we come round, we would plant more kind of shade-loving plants and also your damp-loving plants like your chives, your mint, your lemon balm, your comfrey and bits like that. My herb spiral is made out of bricks, which I found all along my allotment, and they're a really useful material because they help to trap in heat and they also keep it cool during the summer. Utilising some of this dead spaces in the bricks is a really great way to put more plants in as well, and I like to grow berries that like the sun, like strawberries, and it helps ripen the berries up a little bit quicker. And I've positioned my herb spiral here because it's right in front of my fruit orchard. And what that does is it helps to attract bees and insects, and then that in turn pollinates my fruit trees. Because all of these gardens on this site are hedged in, it means that they're very private, and it means that I've been able to experiment a little bit more in my gardening style and the features that I add into my allotment. I have a wood-fired bathtub that is in a little space down in the corner that I perhaps wouldn't be able to have in, you know, a traditional open field style allotment. I share this space with all the wildlife around the woodlands, and sometimes it can be quite hard. They do eat a lot of things. This is my sweet corn that the squirrels managed to get to last week. And they've also had a good go at my courgettes and my squash. But I'd way rather have them coming in than them not come in at all. So I do actively encourage all the animals to enter the garden, and I don't mind sharing my produce with them. I just have to grow maybe 4 times as much. I don't mind a few nibbled courgettes or some sweet corn that's gone awry when I have robins feeding out of my hands and foxes coming to drink out of the ponds. I feel like when we grow up, we lose that kind of sense of wonder and we lose that sense of play. And being so close to the floor and picking up worms and finding the wonder in these small things, I think gets lost as we get older. So having a garden, having your hands in the soil, is just such a magical thing. And I think that for me is what makes this place so special.
I think that every gardener knows exactly what Danny's talking about. That magic, that childlike wonder of putting your hands in the soil and nurturing seeds and plants and seeing them grow is really special. And you know, it doesn't wane. The more you do it, the stronger it gets, the more magical it is.